I see makes my stomach turn. Hello, this is your autistic wee friend down here. Welcome back to the letter. I probably shouldn't be recording because I feel like, I don't know, depressed, nauseous. I probably shouldn't be recording right now. But I'm also a idiot. Who knows, maybe recording this will help me lift up some spirits despite, being point of view of Luke. I didn't get any sleep, not a single wink. I was so busy jumping at every shadow and worrying about waking with a knife in my chest. Not waking up at all, even when Hannah wakes in spite of a mild fever and goes downstairs for breakfast. I stay in bed, thoughts of poisoned food running in my head. The rain that has started some time during the night doesn't help the mood. Okay, maybe it helps just a little. Strange sunny weather had been nice and all, but for it to return as it should be feels like a good sign of things to come. Perhaps things will settle back to normal, and the crazy drama that has gone on lately will die down. I would hate to be caught unaware in this rain. And with how it looks outside, it seems like the weather is making up for all the sunny days it's given us with a good old-fashioned downpour. The rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain fills the early morning silence with a steady beat. Thank goodness I don't have to be anywhere in a hurry today. I would hate to be caught unawares in this rain. With how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days. Did it just repeat? Oh, I'm losing it. I'm probably losing it. Did it repeat the dialogue, or did I just not click and it just... I'm fucking losing it. It does let up with a quarter of an hour, however, a day beginning with a cloud burst like this. Locals usually take it as an immediate sign. Looks Burns' abysmal weather is back, likely for good. I hope they did a damn good job of fixing this place because I'd rather not have to deal with leaky roofs. I don't like the idea that the realty did a horrid patch job with the place. Hannah technically paid millions for this place. It better live up to the price the realty company sold it for. If problems aside, she's going to be a definite downer about this as well. She hates the rain. Then again, who actually does? What sane person would like it when 9 out of 10 days consist of nothing but dark, drab, and gray skies and piss water pouring from the heavens? And she was just starting to enjoy the sunlight. I will have to get up and about eventually. That is a given, but I'm not too keen on seeing or talking to Hannah before she leaves for the hospital. Or eventually in a few days' time, this bloody house. Kyle won't like it if she comes here only to find me in a bad mood. Kylie, not. Okay. If you would dare rouse me from bed, being able to keep their jobs isn't sensitive enough. I trust they realize that now. It's not a good time to force me into anything. Maybe I can just get an hour or two of sleep before Stardust drops the spread off the mansion steps. If only. But as always, somebody has to be the boss killer.
Are you really going to stay in bed all day?
What do you want?
You must have been really rattled by what happened yesterday. If you need to talk about it, I am quite qualified in that regard.
And you aren't even the slightest bit bothered? Truly? Not even the slightest bit worried?
I was worried. But I realized that it's not my life in danger, is it? My worrying will not help matters. Neither will yours.
Loath as I am to admit it, he is right. Still, it's more frustrating when he doesn't give me time to concede his point.
I know you two aren't getting along.
Nosy bugger.
But you should at least see the madam off before we leave. Think of her as a business associate if you must. It would not do to part on bad terms.
It's far too early to deal with your nosiness.
That's none of his business, none of it. If he remembers this place, he'll drop it. I don't want to talk to Hannah, not now, and when I'm so high-strung and paranoid. This whole thing is a bloody mess with everything going off at once. I'm afraid, with our troubles, I will misinterpret anything she might say or do. That just make the whole thing worse.
Are there any updates about the woman?
Being in the dark has me on edge. Information and any at all may very well help me in calming down.
I've already briefed security about her, and more from the agency will be arriving tonight. but they haven't seen anyone fitting the description.
So you have nothing then? Fat lot of use you guys are. What do I even pay you for? Do me a favor. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on your way out.
Well, there is something. It's about McCulloch.
Then anyone blame me if I show the tiniest bit of interest? She's still not done with the house, and she's a nice enough woman. Plans to go back to sleep are gone.
I called her secretary about taking the day off. He hasn't heard from her over the weekend.
Oh, that's because she's in the basement.
She's probably passed out after enjoying a pint or 2 or 10 in a bar somewhere. She's an adult. It was the weekend. She's allowed to disappear and not think about work. Fuck. I wish I was passed out after a night of drinking. He does know that mobiles are a thing.
That's all well and good, but she's not answering her mobile either. Mr. Parker will be filling a missing persons case with the police if she doesn't turn up today.
Certainly someone must know where she is. Tabs are kept without fail on people who come to work with me. Background checks and constant surveillance until they're finished their contracts with the rights. Some would say it's all a bit over the top. But I can't be too safe. Too many want me dead.
What about one of ours? Has anyone seen her? She's pretty hard to miss with how tall the woman is.
The last anyone has seen of her was here, the morning of the party, your housewarming party.
That isn't good news.
It wouldn't do for the police to hear of this and to suspect.
It's of little importance that I can easily prove my innocence. It's all a matter of principle. Because even the accusation of misdemeanor should not stain my reputation, although maybe it is a bit too late to hope for a squeaky clean one. Besides, it'd be such a hassle to have the police poking about the house looking for a body that doesn't exist.
Now, if we're done here, I'd like to go back to sleep and...
Oh, God. Oh, here she comes. Well, there goes any pretense of grabbing some shut-eye rolling over on my stomach. I can only scream into my pillow.
Of course, of course. Ah. Johans, distract her.
Oh, look, it's time for me to go. Have fun with your little play date. So long, farewell, and auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
No, Johans, don't you turn away from me. Keep her busy for an hour. Come on!
I had to press my face against the pillow once more to suppress a groan. You just can't get oil help anymore.
Hello there, little Fraulein. Your uncle is just upstairs and will be down in a moment. He is super excited to have you today. I hope you're well rested and ready to play a lot.
That bastard. I'll be down in a sec, Munchkin. Let me just...
Change into a fresh shirt, brush my teeth, fix my hair, bemoan my very existence. Wish I was anywhere else in the world right now. Don't get me wrong, Kylie's a great kid, wonderful. Better than most brats her age. But handling it like is the last thing I want to do my agenda right now with this whole Hana business. Fortunately, I'm well versed in how the world works. I have long learned that the show must go on no matter what hurdles come in my way. So I sit to preparing for the day, running a comb through my hair. It's just divine. This really makes me feel more human. Bad hair is disgusting, though it isn't as bad now as when I was a child. With how expensive a trip to the barber's was, I often had to grow it out until Mother had the time to cut it for me. The curls and tangles were simply horrid. Why, I was even mistaken as a little girl because of that. It certainly doesn't help that I was named Lucille. A freshly pressed shirt is enough to chase away the last signs of sleepiness. The feel of crisp and clean cloth in my hands is a clear marker to start the day. There's nothing catch my eye. My clothes and personal effects are already set and dressed for the day. Boxers, trousers, belt, and socks on one side of my shirt, jacket and tie on the other. It's always the same thing as always. Cufflinks, colognes, anything else I would like to add stays in the dresser for me to choose from. It's all routine. However, among the silvers, the grays, and the red is a tiny blue box.
Now what is this?
The thing is a small and light, fitting the palm of my hand. Too big to be a ring box, but too large to be a watch box. Looking at it closer, see that's one of my handkerchiefs used for wrapping. It's easy enough to untie the knot to reveal a plain box inside. An odd and quaint way to wrap up a gift, I suppose, though the presentation should be the last thing I need to be worried about. Mail packages, gifts, and the like are supposed to be vetted before they get to me. The morning Johans would hand me a list of things I need to look over and go through, yet there was no forewarning of this. Immediately I dropped the thing as it burned at me.
I shouldn't have touched that. I shouldn't have touched that.
Very well might have. With security going over it, could be a nasty gift for me. I can still remember when a security guard died to contact person that covered an innocent enough birthday card, for fuck's sake. And as the box hits the ground and spills the contents, I see it makes my stomach turn. Oh, what the fuck? An eyeball, still with its nerve-ending mucus and all, plops to the ground. I have to fight the urge to gag as it rolls and stares up at me.
Oh God, that's sick. That is sick. It's still wet. My bloody fucking. That is disgusting.
It's not a stranger to be sent. I'm not a stranger to being sent threats, but this has to be the first time I've been sent a body part. Even I don't do that. Yet there's no note or sign, too, as to who may have sent it or how it got there. If this is a threat, it's a piss-poor way of doing it, considering it lacks proper planning outside the shock factor that sending a body part affords them. Do I even know anyone whose eyes are the same shade? Not Hana's. No, definitely not. They aren't as pretty and aren't the right color. Johan's, Mr. and Mrs. Lee, Suarez, McCullough, no, the color isn't familiar at all. Though, honestly, it's not like I take the time to memorize each and every person's eye. But this could be anyone, from a guard or maid, one of the other 100 people I deal with. Kylie can't see this. The kid is tough, but this will traumatize her. Grabbing the handkerchief that was used for wrapping, I try to pick up the eyeball to dispose of it, emphasis on try. Contact even with the fabric has me gagging. The thought of squishing it and covering my fingers with the slick and slime of it made me recoil. The slight touch is enough to make the eyeball roll towards the bed. My mouth scrambled to make a grab for it. It rolls away even farther under the bed until it's in the smack dab middle. There, it just taunts me from where it sits out of my reach. Green iris fixed on me again, perhaps judging my poor attempts to get it.
The hell with it. I don't have time for this.
Ugh. I washed my hand of this, quite literally at that. Though I wish it wasn't easier said than done, the nagging in the back of my head, the voice telling me that I need to be cautious of this, refused to push the matter aside. While it is true that it is cause for concern, without demands or anything of like worrying, will do very little to help. Looking around the room, I try to see if there are any other presents have been left behind. To my relief, aside from the box, nothing else is out of place. The most I can do right now is alert the present security staff about this breach. Watch out for any other threats. If they have a message for me, they'll most likely send it with their next gift. Whoever sent this, I would assume it has more to shake me up than anything else at the moment. It would be best to act as if this didn't happen. No need to make a child worry about it either. She doesn't need to know. Smoothing down my suit and my hair with a sigh, I seal myself for the horrors that come with taking care of a child. I'll try to forget the horrors that come in a box.
Good morning to you, Luke.
Speak of the devil, and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings the backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for it.
Did you just wake up? Don't tell me you forgot. It's our playdate today.
I doubt I'll forget. Kylie's visits are frequent enough thing that they'd found a way into my schedule. There's supposed to be visits to her godmother, but we can't pick who a child gets along with. So long as I'm not busy, her father can drop her off for the day. Which is all well and good for me if it makes Suarez focus on work I've given him. Besides, she's a bright child, tolerable. Kid's got a good head on her shoulders and can get pretty mature for her age at times. Of course, they have to thank me for that. Her parents can take the partial credit, but Hana and I have been there for this kid since she was just a small baby. Why, I can still remember the first time I saw her, it was during her baptism. The only reason I was there was to accompany Hana, who was to be named godmother. She was such a tiny thing, not even a year old, and swaddled at her mother's arm in white cloth. It was the first time I really saw an infant up close enough to hold one at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little child to carry after the whole water ceremony. I've never done so before that, to hold the tiny life in my arms. It could have just dropped her on her head, and this little like before me would have stopped existing then and there. The child just smiled at me, babbling nonsensical words that children do, and clinging to me, even as I tried to hand her off to Hannah. She had thought it hilarious and adorable. My seat had been a mess and was nearly an anxious wreck by the time I handed her back to her mother. And yet, it was pleasant too.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as you told me for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortilla de patatas. He wouldn't let me leave until I finished every bite.
The source, infamous tortilla de patatas. Those things are a hazard. You can probably use one to bludgeon someone to submission of how huge they are. Someone called Kylie can still be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake.
Well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes, dessert please.
It's easy enough to manage Kylie with the promise of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. Just the thought of her slipping and breaking her neck is enough to make me rush down after her.
Slow down, the food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
With a shake of my head, I usher Kylie toward the parlor and order a maid to bring food for us. Whatever breakfast there is, along with a cup of coffee for me and an ice cream or a Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long, unless I want to let her turn the other room into a slaughter ground. True to my expectations, I've only left Kylie alone for a few minutes, but she's already making herself comfortable. Okay. The stuff from her backpack have been left scattered across the room, from coloring books and crayons to toys. She's well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I can certainly breathe a little easier if she won't bring her doll along every time she visits. Narcissa is a creepy little bugger. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Finding the thing at the bottom of the stairs staring up at me at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning is a memory that won't be leaving me anytime soon. Even now, it stares at me from when we're seated. It's well tempted to just throw the whole thing in the fireplace and banish it from whence it came. I can buy her a prettier doll, a better toy. I will break it, find a way to remove it if it wasn't for Hannah and if only Kylie wasn't so attached to it. The thing is some antique doll she found for the brad's 6th birthday, one of a kind. My darling Hannah loves her so. Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter, but she just can't keep her interest along with the wife. It's not something that Hannah goes wrong on her part. She does try very hard, it's just that she doesn't quite know how to really handle children. She'd never been around other children when she was young, surrounded by protective adults who catered to her every whim and worried for her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. Impose rules on the child, treat her as if she is made of spun glass, like every movement might break her. I at least have some idea from being around the street kids. I know the games they play and how they think. I know that scraps and skin knees are all part of childhood. Even with how I grew up, I had time to be a child and not some sheltered heiress. With Kylie, as big as she can be, with her toys and her books and art, she has to use up all her energy somehow. To run around the playground, make a mess in the mud, or even just fake wrestle for a short while. Let her be a child when she wants, I'll say. If it becomes too much, just buy her sweets or shit her back to her papa. Problem solved. Fortunately, Hannah isn't quite up for those sort of things most of the time. Thinking it'll spoil the child, it turns the whole play date awkward every time. Taking the last seat left, I pluck one of the coloring books from the table to see it fills with dinosaurs. Actually, exactly what I expected to see for a little girl, but hand doesn't hurt anyone. If she wants to play with dolls or cars, or dolls with their cars, what do I care? If she wants to put dolls, tutus on model cars even.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses. We went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome! Siri, dinosaurs are my favorite.
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall, even bigger than a T-Rex. Cisa says it'll be big enough to eat all my classmates.
Feeling laughs as I scrunch up my nose and grimace.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
I have to stop and look around, expecting one of the help to be there. The child does have a way of befriending just about anyone as long as she puts her mind to it. Yet the two of us are completely alone. Very clearly, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. That might be a lot more problematic than whether she plays with dolls or cars, though. Both the thoughts of Cisa giving Kylie ideas, and one of said ideas being massacred by a dinosaur. Something I probably need to bring up with her father aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I find no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and precocious as any tyke at her age can be. She's an angel. She can get comfy and settled in after getting her sweets. We tuck into our waffles as soon as food is brought in. Our waffles because she wanted her own plate to go with the ice cream as soon as she saw mine. A fresh plate of berries is brought in as well, which really goes great with the rest of this feast, as Kylie puts it. If I indulge in the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With our bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on a scrap of paper and calmly chatting about her week. She talks of her older brother, Rowan, and her parents, how they plan to go to the Bloxlyn in Berkshire for the winter holidays. She talks of Miss Pink, and I have to shift my legs to become comfortable once more. Memory of my initial meeting with her still fresh in my mind. She talks of the sad man in the park, and of her new friend who likes to play hide and seek when she's not sniffling in the lip. When finally she finds nothing new to talk about, she goes back to her drawings. No change as soon as her stomach settles, of course, the calm before the storm. As behaved as she is right now, I can feel the curiosity just radiating off her. There's a restlessness buzzing under her skin and a question on the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children her age. But for now, I can take this piece with no complaint for however long it stays. I have fun with the carrot crayons as well as at the child's insistence, even if I can't really draw. With Kylie using the black crayon that leaves me with the blue one, I absentmindedly start drawing a puppy to the best of my abilities. It's as I attempt to give the doodle dogs another eye that Kylie breaks her silence.
Tio? Where did Tia go? I saw them leave when I got here. Tia didn't look so good.
I've been expecting a lot of different questions. The kid always has a whole bunch of them ready for me, but I can only sigh when she poses this particular one.
She's just going to the doctor's for a checkup.
And as kids go, there are follow-up questions.
And you didn't go with her?
Well, you were going to be here, sweetie, so I had to stay behind.
So she's all alone? At the hospital?
Oh, no, of course not. Tia has Johans and her maid and a guard. She's got plenty of company.
Yeah, but you're not with her.
If I didn't know better, I'd say the kid is trying to make me feel guilty, though I don't know if the bitter taste in my mouth is that, or something else entirely. I really don't have time to process what the emotion is as the brat opens her mouth again.
You should have gone with her to the hospital. Hospitals are scary, you know.
Exactly why I didn't go. I don't like hospitals, Kylie. That's all there is to it.
So you're not angry at Tia?
Why would I be angry at her? It isn't her fault she got sick.
I heard you and Tia are fighting.
Ooh.
I heard that you might not be together anymore.
I have to stop her there. Sure, it's easy for people to jump to conclusions and presume we might be fighting with no thanks to Rochelle. But it's not common knowledge that things have actually gone sour, and to put it in her terms, that we might not be together anymore.
Oh, well, where did you hear this from?
I heard it from a nice maid lady. But that's still no excuse. Not when she's sick. She needs someone to hold her hand and bring her soup and make her drink medicine.
I'm livid that one of my employees might gossip into a child of all people who says such upsetting things to a child. But my anger dies out when Kylie starts to tear up. She holds it back and never to not seem so childish I soon. Though I am honestly confused as to why such news would upset her so.
Oh, no. Look, Kylie, there's no need to cry.
I'm not going to cry.
Are you sure? You've got no reason to cry. Even if Hana and I won't be together anymore, you can still visit me and I can still visit you.
That's not the problem. Why don't you and Tia love each other anymore?
I still love her, Munchkin, and I'd like to think your Tia still does too.
Isn't that the truth? I love her, I'm just total shite at showing it. That's one part of me screams that I was not worthy of her to be her husband in the first place, no matter how hard I deny it. Perhaps at another time, another place, another me, I would have confessed that the whole world is nothing compared to her.
Well, why are you two fighting? You grown-ups are so stupid sometimes.
Why? Because I'm probably motioning for her to come closer. I wrap my arms around her, rub her back, and attempt to comfort the child. Only when I feel her tears soaking into my jacket that I realize that there might be something else to our worries. I heard Suarez is not getting along too well with his wife as of late because of how busy he is with work. Really, I was wholly tempted to just brush her question off and say that it's a grown-up thing. I could content myself in pretending that this isn't happening. But it seems like she needs to hear this. That just makes it all the more painful to try and explain this because I have to explain it not only for Kylie but also for myself.
Sometimes people fall out of love, or they think they've fallen out of love and need time apart. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They might be angry at each other, or they might feel sad. They need time for themselves to think about each other, to know if there is still love. Maybe they'll be back together again. Or maybe it's better for both of them to move on, instead of staying together and hurting each other pretending they still love each other.
There's nothing final, but here we are. A crossroads where the wrong step might end in heartbreak. One of the things we need some time apart, but we aren't done just yet.
But yes, grown-ups can be rather stupid.
You're still gonna be my friend, no matter what, Tio?
Of course, my life would be less exciting without a little brat like you running around and making a mess of it. And you better stay my friend, even when I get all old and wrinkly.
Kylie's shoulders shake and laugh as she pulls away, gives me a toothy grin.
Already old! But don't worry. When you die, I'll burn you and put you in a jar so I can keep you forever! Just like they did with Abuelo!
And thoughts come to a grinding halt at her words, yet she goes on as she hasn't just said such an odd thing. Why, it almost seems like the tyke is looking forward to my funeral. As if there is no confused expression on my face, she pulls me back to her drawings, comments on the state of my weird dog.
I think your puppy would look better in magenta.
Okay, that's where I'm gonna end this video, because I'm just very fatigued right now. Man, I got something recorded, so that's something, right? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, regardless of how I felt. If you did, subscribe, check out other videos I've done, and let's see you next time. Bye bye. Bye bye.